Hello, everybody. Welcome to Magical Tea Time. I have Teal on the podcast for today. We're going to start with her introducing herself and telling you a little bit about her. And if you don't mind telling them when you joined the Academy of Wealth Alchemy, Kinetic Energy, and PLAE. Okay, so go ahead, Teal.
My name is Teal. I have been a member of Awake since I think just this past December, so very recently. And yes, I chose the play option because I love plant medicine and I want to learn more about it. And the option for the retreat in there was very appealing to me. So I'm pretty new with Awake, absolutely loving it so far. But I have always been a spiritual person, born into a very spiritual family. Started my like official spiritual journey when I was about 12. I'm 27 now, so been going for a little while. And yeah, finding Awake was kind of like my dream come true. It's the thing that I was like, oh, that's it. That's what I've been looking for.
Okay, great. So the reason I have Teal on the podcast for today is um, she went to a ceremony in Mount Shasta, California, and it was May. She had a very difficult medical situation that she was trying to overcome, which I'll have her tell you about. However, what I saw with you, Teal, was what, at least in my opinion, Mother Ayahuasca, she actually chooses people during these ceremonies. So I've done like ceremonies since 2014. I've done so many ceremonies, and I can really tell when a person is embodying the energy of Mother Ayahuasca, and then Mother Ayahuasca starts to work through you, and that's where I can see the healing happen, right? But also like the transformation into you working with the medicine and using your activations to actually heal others. So that's why I have you on here, is to kind of put you out there and get you used to this idea. Okay, so when you joined Awake, if you don't mind telling them, Awake and PLAE, what was your main reasons for joining? What was it in your life that you wanted to heal physically and then accomplish also on a spiritual level as well?
Yeah, so my main goals, I mean, I've been searching for my purpose for a long time. And all throughout my journey, I feel like I've been close, but I hadn't found exactly what I was looking for. And when I found Awake and everything that it teaches you and offers you and all the certifications you can get, that's when I was like, okay, this is what I've been searching for. I'm gonna, through everything that we learn with the Academy, I'm gonna be able to utilize that and put that all into practice in my own personal way. Because, of course, I feel like everyone in this academy, their ultimate goal, for most of them, I'm sure, is to open, their own sort of spiritual healing practice. So that's always been my goal. I just haven't really known how to get there. So Awake really, really has been what I've been looking for. And I know that once I feel confident enough to put all of that into practice, then I'll be able to um, follow my purpose, which I feel is to heal and to teach and to be of service. And then physically, what I was wanting to heal is the insomnia. I had extremely treatment resistant insomnia for as long as I can remember, ever since I was little. And I just, without medications, I could not sleep. I would not sleep without medications. That just is how it was. I think it's hard to remember when it started, but I'm thinking around like 7 or 8, and don't know what started it or what was the cause. That's been an ongoing thing with therapists and psychiatrists trying to figure that out. Um, so like I have gradually over the years tried like every medication for insomnia you can think of. Like I've tried so many that I can't even remember them all. Some of the main ones I wrote down started off with just melatonin, and then from there progresses is in no specific order, but I've been on trazodone, I've tried mirtazapine, Safris, Klonopin, hydroxyzine, um, all Ambien. I'll kind of get to that story. And then Seroquel was the one that worked the best for me. So just throughout the years, it just kept progressing and just getting worse, and just kind of got on more and more medications. They would usually work for like about a year and then stop. So I'd have to move to something different. And then back in 2019, I had a really severe flare-up of the insomnia where um, the meds I had been on at the time, they were working and then they just stopped out of nowhere. And I could not sleep no matter what I did. Didn't matter what I took. Um, I didn't sleep for over like 50, 55 hours. I was getting audio hallucinations and visual hallucinations, and my body was just shutting down on me. I was so weak. I was starving all the time, but I physically could not eat. Um, like the lack of sleep started affecting my body so bad that I would like even trying to roll over in bed. I was like, like it was so physically exhausting to move. And I kind of just turned into a zombie. We were trying everything. This was when I was still living with my parents, and we are trying everything we could think of to get me to sleep. And that was like when I hadn't ever really smoked marijuana before then, but my mom was like, please just do anything. Like try marijuana, see if that helps. And at that point, I was like such a zombie that I I'd given up. I really thought I was gonna die. I was about to write like goodbye letters to everyone in my life to leave behind when I died because I was like, there is no way that my brain is gonna fall asleep before my body completely shuts down. And during this time when I was getting really bad, I was seeing my regular doctor just to try any meds that might help. And even she was running out of options because we tried so many, and then that's where she suggested I see a psychiatrist. So the insomnia got really bad right when I was looking for a psychiatrist to find other options. And I had my dad take me to urgent care twice during that time because, again, I thought, like, I looked up symptoms of what a female heart attack is, and I fit every single one, just like the body symptoms. And my heart was just beating like crazy, trying to keep up, like, keep my body alive. And the second time I went to urgent care, the doctor, he was so nice. He gave me 4 Ambiens. He says, I'm gonna prescribe you just a couple Ambiens so you can get sleep for the next couple nights. And I knew, I was like, this isn't gonna help. So I took all 4 Ambiens that night when I got home. Didn't sleep a wink, didn't fall asleep at all. Which, Ambien is a crazy one, and to take that much and not have it affect me whatsoever, I was like, that was kind of like my final loss of hope. I was like, there's nothing. Um, and then I was able to get in with a psychiatrist, and she prescribed me Seroquel, which is what I have been on since. That literally saved my life. Without the Seroquel, I really don't think I would be here. And then once I kind of got the insomnia a little bit under control with the Seroquel, I went and did a sleep study to see if we could figure out what the cause was. They didn't find anything. They're like, well, if this ever happens again, instead of upping the Seroquel, just try sleep deprivation because you'll fall asleep eventually. I was like, what do you think I was doing? And I don't think I was gonna fall asleep before, something really bad happened. Yeah, so that was back in 2019, and I've been on the Seroquel since, but obviously I don't want to be on medications my whole life. And when I found Awake and chose the PLAE option, I had heard about ayahuasca before. I didn't know much about it. And even when I signed up for the retreat, I like refrained from doing any research until like the week before the retreat because sorry, my cat. Because I'm a research person. I have to know what I'm going into, but I also wanted to go into it a little bit blind. Um, so that was my main focus of the ayahuasca retreat was to cure the insomnia, and I was working on my mother wound a lot too.
You had a lot going on for your age. You must have been feeling pretty hopeless, huh? I remember, so
Absolutely.
we always do our intentions before we begin the ceremony. And I remember when you were telling people your story, it was like one of those, in a way, and just so everybody knows, there was about 15 people in the group. It was like one of those moments where you just kind of take a breath and everybody was like just hoping that this was going to work for you, because it was such a sad situation to hear that, that you're going through all of this. Okay, so yeah, now you can go ahead and just talk about like your experiences with the medicine and yeah, what you experienced.
Gosh, so the whole retreat, I just want to start off with just a lesson in surrendering. Like from the moment I got there, even before, just everything leading up to it. But the whole retreat in general was just all about surrender. I think I was probably one of the first, if not the first, to purge. Definitely felt a release. So I was really debating if I wanted to take a second dose because so throughout this whole thing, I was fighting the purging up until the third day when you really reiterated how important it is to purge and how you should be like really grateful for it. Which the third night I finally got, but up until then I was still kind of fighting it. I was like, I really don't want to do this. Please don't make me do this. And ayahuasca, she gives you what you need and not what you want. Um, okay, this is what I'm needing. That's perfectly fine. I'm just trusting that. So I didn't fall asleep. So the whole time, the whole retreat, the 3 days that I was there, I slept maybe combined 4 hours. I didn't fall asleep, but I just like laid on the couch. And that first night, I felt like I was in a plane between like awake and asleep, but not like the usual one. It's like a couple planes higher. I just felt like somewhere different. And I felt something like physically felt it like knitting together, like something mending to do with the sleep. And I was just kind of like floating and I just like feeling that like weaving, that knitting together happening. And it was really nice. And I felt more relaxed than I ever have. And then so I tried to go to sleep that night. I can't remember like how the sleep was broken up those 4 hours over the retreat. But I woke up um more like energized than I would have had I slept.
It was the second day that we did the group healings and all kind of stepped into our shaman, right? Do you remember that?
Absolutely. Yep.
I saw the shift in you at that moment when you were playing the drums. And that is when
Yes.
the ayahuasca was there from the night before. We had taken that microdose to get us open into that energy. What did you experience when you stepped into that energy? One, being the healer as you were doing the shamanic work, and two, when you were in the group, in the circle, what was your experiences?
It's just it was really amazing because I stepped into an energy that I've never experienced before. And yeah, definitely the ayahuasca already being in my system from the night before, and then the mushrooms just really opened things up. And all of the visuals I was getting to when we were doing the sound healings were just like really amazing. I was just like on another planet. And yeah, just like stepping into that energy was definitely like a turning point for me. And I can't like quite describe how or why. It's just kind of like something inside me just clicked. And then from that point forward, then it all just kind of shifted.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. And I think the sound healing too really, really helped open up everything
Oh,
for
yeah.
the second night also. That was amazing.
Well, the drumming in
Yeah,
the sound healing circle, I believe, cut the energy out. Like
I think so.
clean, yeah,
Yep.
in all the smoke work that we
Hmm.
did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah. And the drumming, like I've never drummed before. And it wasn't like I was doing some crazy complicated beat. I was just like simple drumming, but it was something about the drum, like really, really opened things up for me too.
Yeah, that's where when you were drumming, you actually looked different. You looked
Yeah.
like almost Indian when you were in the drumming.
Okay.
I was wondering what you were feeling because you were getting into a very powerful
I
energy.
want to describe it. It was like I was the drum. And like every time I hit it, it was just like the beat was just like coursing through me. And that's when, like, right then and there, was like, oh, I like drumming. This is fun. Like, I'm very connected to this. Um, yeah, so it was like something about like we had a lot of instruments. We had a lot of stuff to work with. And I kept coming to the drum. Like, I didn't want to do anything else. I just wanted the drum. I was like, no, this is mine. Give it back to me. So yeah, I very, like, really did connect with the drum for sure.
Good. Okay. Okay. So go ahead. So then after we were done the shamanic circle, which lasted like 5 hours, by the way, but go ahead. What was your experiences afterwards?
Oh man. So yeah, like getting my healing, just like the energy that was coursing through me during the actual healing stayed for the rest of the, not only the retreat, like it has stayed like in me now. And that was just pivotal. So the healing was absolutely amazing combined with the mushrooms already in my system and then the ayahuasca from the night before. Just like, oh wow, tonight's gonna be fun. Um, so yes, so when we took the brew again that night, I had already decided, like, if I purge it out, it's fine. We're just here. We're doing the mushrooms, which is what happened. Like I purged up even faster that time, like maybe 15 minutes after drinking it. And I was totally fine with it. I was like, okay, this is what is meant to be. We're just gonna go with the mushrooms and it'll work out how it's supposed to. And that was the most amazing mushroom experience I've ever had. Not because like I was getting like by then the visuals had faded, but it was just like the energy, the collective energy and the atmosphere and the location that we were in, like Mount Shasta itself, everything was just like all combining with the mushrooms. And like that night for me, I mean, as we were out by the fire when time ceased to exist, like that night lasted forever and it was amazing. So kind of the main thing I remember that night is the fire. So a couple of us, me and Rebecca included, we went out by the fire and I was high out of my mind. Like honestly high more off of the energy because I've never experienced mushrooms being high off of mushrooms in this way. And
When you
a
say
bunch of us
when you
kind of
say
sat
hi- when you say hi, what does that feel like for you when you say hi? What do you mean by that? If you're going to explain that in a different word.
like elevated is the
Okay.
word that comes to mind. Because it again, like because yeah, I wasn't like high in the sense of visuals at this point. I was just like elevated outside of my body. I was in just kind of a different energy and kind of like elevated is what it felt like. It's kind of like I was kind of looking down on myself from like higher up.
Okay, so then because people are listening to this that have not done this, and some people think that plant medicine is like smoking marijuana or escaping. When you say high, are you saying that like you can't remember anything? Or are you saying were you still connected within you? Do you still have memory?
Oh,
Were you
I remember every single moment. It is like burned into my memory for all time. There is
so you weren't
even
out of
like,
it. You weren't out of it. You
no,
weren't
I was
okay.
not out of it. I was in it.
Okay, that's what I want
Yes.
people to know.
Yes.
That's what I want people to know. Okay.
Yep.
Because high is
Yes.
sometimes used in that reference of
It
being out
is.
of it.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay.
So in this case, I was in it, and I've never felt more connected than in this moment on like really the only plant medicine I've tried before ayahuasca has been marijuana and mushrooms. Marijuana, it's great. Like it is a plant ally for me and it treats me really well, but it's not my plant medicine of choice after this. Mushrooms, if we're going for something a little more gentle for sure, and then ayahuasca if you're looking for some serious healing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and yeah, mushrooms and marijuana, very, very, very different. And so with the mushrooms, I guess before this I had never really put myself into kind of like a ritual space and like a ceremony space. So I think that's also why this experience was so profound, like everything going on. Plus, like being in that type of setting really allowed a lot of healing to happen. So, yes, I was extremely connected with myself, with my higher self, with everyone around me. And so, out by the fire, that's kind of where it blurs a little bit because I was aware and I was there, but there was just so much energy and so much healing going on. I think I don't know if I can't even describe it. Um, and we like all of us out there, there were how many? Like six, seven of us maybe. And we just kind of all got to talking about our reasons for being at this retreat. And a lot of healing happened, like an insane amount of healing. And my stuff came out in the mother wound aspect, and I worked through that, like a lot of that with one of the other women there who really gave me that motherly love that I have been craving. And so that was I just absolutely amazing. And we felt like we were out there. I'm not even joking, for like 2 years that we were sitting out there. And yet every time we would look at the clock, it's only been like 10, 15 minutes. And every time we'd be like, oh, like we'd lose our minds. We'd start like, what is happening? Because time, this proved like time is a concept because it stopped. Like it truly stopped while we were out there. And like seeing the stars out there in Mount Shasta, I've never seen the stars that clear. And we saw a UFO pass by, and we were just like, wow. It was amazing. And I was like, it didn't probably look comfortable to you guys because I was like doubled over in my seat, like had a blanket on my lap. I was covered with a blanket. It probably did not look comfortable, but I was the most comfortable I've ever been. Like,
It looked like you were kind of in
and
that womb, like
yeah,
rebirthing, because like you were going to be rebirthed. Like that's what I was
yeah,
thinking.
yeah. I was in basically like a womb space.
Yeah.
And what I found really interesting at one point, like I was doubled over like that. My neck kind of got a little sore, but then I just focused on it and I was like, it's not sore. It's not. And then as I thought that, it just kind of like melted away and became just like a nice stretch in my neck. And then that little bit of discomfort was completely gone. I was like, whoa, high, or elevated on the mushrooms, I'll say. I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, what's going on? So we were out there for so long, and then one of the other girls there, she put together like a really amazing ritual, with the sticks where we
Yeah.
what was
Yeah.
it? Blew up our intentions for ourselves, and then down into the ground was our intentions for the earth. Is that what it
Yeah. For
was?
everybody. Like, yeah. Everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that was really amazing to go around and do that. And I didn't even know what I was going to say when it was my turn, like my blessings and my wishes for myself, and then for the earth, the words just came to me. So that was incredibly powerful. And then once most everyone went to bed that night, it was me and two other girls out there, and we stayed out there for a long time, and we're able to work through even more stuff. Like there's a lot of healing that happened just like as the night went on. And then finally, we went to bed. I think I was the last one up that night. I decided to take a shower because I was feeling so great. It's probably like 4:30 in the morning by this point. And so went to bed, and again, didn't really sleep that night. But again, it was just like this energy that I was like feeding from this whole time there was just filled me with such life force. Like I've never felt so awake and so energized on such a lack of sleep or in general. So that was like so amazing because any other time, if I were not sleeping like this, I would be panicking, like sobbing and crying. Like that's my reaction when I can't sleep. It was like, oh no, it's happening again. The insomnia is like flaring up again. Like not not like this because I had my medications with me and I could have taken them if I really wanted to, but I didn't want to. I wanted to experience this off of my medications. And then yeah, so that second night on the mushrooms, I keep telling everyone, when I tell them about this, I say that like reset my brain chemistry completely, like a complete reset, that mushroom experience and just that experience of that night in general. And then so the third and final day, I again was like, if it's just gonna be mushrooms today, that's fine because the last night was incredible. I was like, I'll meet if it has to be mushrooms again, I'll meet ayahuasca at another point. This isn't like the one time I'm gonna be able to meet her. So that was like my thought waking up. But then we went to the sweat lodge, and I still do not have words for that. Truly the most amazing healing spiritual experience of my life. Just being able to let everything out in that safe space. It was such a safe, non-judgmental space. And like I at one point, so I have a really hard time being vocal. Like in general, communication is very hard for me. I can't be like loud. I've tried like when I'm alone in my car, I'll try to like scream. So I'm like, when was the last time I've screamed? Can I even still do it? And I would have the hardest time. Like I would open my mouth and it would get just like stuck in my throat. It would not come out. And so when we were in the sweat lodge, they're drumming and they're singing, we're all like crying and sobbing and yelling. And I finally was able to scream. And I screamed and I screamed and I screamed. And talking about the sweat lodge, I cry every time. Um, but like when I started screaming, you guys all started like cheering for me. And it was just so incredible. And I definitely, that was like the purging. Like I purged out everything during the sweat lodge, everything, and purged out, I think, like, again, a lot of the insomnia. Like I was purging it out, like I was screaming at it, like, get out, like it was a demon inside of me, like, get out, get out, get out. And I felt something come out. And then
Wow.
I also focused on like healing the other half of the mother wound. That's what the main crime was for that. And both of those I felt a significant shift afterwards. But and it's so strange because I've never considered the insomnia to be something like that before, like a demon or like a parasite inside of me. But in that moment, that's how it presented. And I was like, at this point, I was like lying on my side. I shuffled down to my side, and I was just like on my side, just like crying and like screaming, get out. And I felt something leave. Yeah.
Wow. Good. Good.
Yeah.
And just to kind of reflect, because you are still a student of play, and something I'm picking up with this, just to let you know. So, in Awake and Play, we teach about the discarnate energies and the imprints, and you worked through a lot of stuff that happened to you when you were a child, and then the mothering wounds, right? So kids, they take on imprints and discarnate energies that aren't theirs because they are full of unconditional love, right? And when you take on energies that aren't yours and they're discarnate, they can turn into what we feel like the inner demons, the demons. They can feel like demons or monsters that you're holding on to. So I truly
Yes.
think with all of this, when you were healing your mother wound, when you were healing, what went on as a child, you were like, I'm done with it. Get out of my system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. It was like in that sweat lodge, it was like the culmination of everything that has built up inside of me since I was a child, and just everything that's just been stuck to me and growing. And yeah, I was able to just like release all of that. And after we got out of the sweat lodge and knowing I like knew deep down, I was like, I purged everything that I needed to purge. So I knew that night the ayahuasca was gonna like I was gonna have the experience that I had been wanting, that I hadn't had the last 2 nights. I just knew it. And um yeah, and then so that night before we started the ceremony, you again reiterated how important purging is and how it just is expelling all of the toxins and the blocked energy and the blockages and everything that you've been carrying your whole life. Because I think you explained it that ayahuasca is on an earth vibration and you have to bring your vibration up to that level to experience the medicine. And
Mhm.
when you have all of that stuff inside of you, you can't reach that vibration.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was a third night that that really clicked for me, and how important purging is and how grateful you should be.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
again, like the first 2 nights, I was like, throwing up sucks. I don't want to do this. It's not fun. And but that third night when you said, like how important it is and how grateful we should be and like thank the ayahuasca, like thank you for allowing me to purge this. I really took that to heart. And and so like the first night, I purged it up pretty fast. And then the second night I was kind of like begging her. I was like, please just let me keep it down for an hour, just long enough for everything to just get into my system, and then we can purge it. It's fine. Like she was still like, I don't know. So still, purge it like 15 minutes after taking the brew the second night. But the third night, after realizing how important purging is, I was like, I am happy to purge. Like I'm looking forward to it this time. And again, I'm gonna ask, like, if we can wait an hour for everything to settle into my system before we start purging, that would be great. But I'm trusting Mother Aya to, whatever is gonna happen is what's gonna happen. And so it did. I didn't purge up the first time till about an hour after I took the brew. And when I was like, it was it was in my system then. And then it was only like one purge, and like I ran to the bathroom, and it was so much different this time. Like it felt good. Like all of that coming out, it felt good. And my head is in the toilet bowl. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. Like probably would have sounded so funny to anyone not in this experience and out of context. Like, thank you as I'm throwing up. Um, and it was like that one purge, and then I was like, okay, now it's time to party, basically. And the collective energy that night was so different from the first night. Like just the
Mm.
pure joy and the light and the unconditional love that first night, that was just everywhere. Like in our space, like the whole environment was different. And when I took the brew that night, I, every time I started feeling nauseous, I would start playing one of the singing bowls. I was alternating between, I think, the root chakra and the heart chakra. And then I would start playing that anytime I felt nauseous, and I just focused on the sound, and the nausea would go right away. So I just kept doing that every time I started feeling nauseous, just focusing on the sound, and it would go away. And then at some point, I just stopped feeling nauseous and just entered like a different plane of existence, is kind of the way
Mm.
I would describe it. And when we did a collective healing on one of the other guys there, we had him lay down in the circle because he had a big blockage that was, we were all trying to break the whole retreat. And we are like, we're going to get it tonight. And again, I had the drums. And that was when, like, we are all sitting around him drumming and singing and going crazy, basically. And I lost control of my body, and just the way I was moving and the way I was swaying. Like I was like in a trance state in a way that I've never experienced before. And it was
Active
so,
meditation. Active meditation, that's called. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
yes. Yes. And it was like, it was so amazing to be out of control like that. And I felt so safe. And that third night when like I was fully in it, that's when I feel like a lot of stuff unlocked for me. Because the whole time I was seeing like all of the other people there, like, unlocking some of their abilities and getting downloads and activations. And I was like so happy for them, so happy for them. And but also I was like, when is it my turn? You know? And that third night it was my turn. And I was able to just like feel the energy in his body in a way I have never experienced. And it was incredible. And then at some point we moved outside for a drum circle around the fire. And that was crazy because, again, it felt like we were out there for years, like years and years. And we're just all drumming. And again, like I entered into an even deeper trance with like the drumming because it's so powerful for me combined with the Aya. And I didn't feel like it was cold outside, even with the fire. I didn't feel the physical cold. I didn't feel like, my arm probably would have been getting really sore because I did not stop once the whole time we are out there. I did not stop drumming. But nothing. I didn't feel any physical discomfort. And I just like settled into this trance, and with just like all of the energy flowing while we were all drumming, it was just, there really aren't words to describe it, how it felt. It was so amazing.
You were experiencing the channeling that with this being training you as a shaman, you were experiencing that energy of stepping into your shaman, of going with the movements, because it's like the movements happen and then you follow it. So you're not controlling the movements, they're
Mhm.
guiding you.
Yes.
It's very powerful, yes. And then you can
Yes.
feel that you're helping everybody around you.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's kind of the first time I've like never really had control of my body in that way, and it was not scary whatsoever. It's like a really incredible, beautiful thing. And yeah, I just felt just like everything flowing, and it was just amazing. And then after the circle, and we all just kind of wandered, did our own things afterwards. And I was wanting to, the whole time I had been wanting to draw something or paint something while I was experiencing this. Whenever I'm on mushrooms, I really love painting something because it's so fun, like especially when you have the visuals, just like watching the paint on the paper. I'm like, whoa. So all 3 nights I thought had been my goal was to like paint something, draw something. But like the first 2 nights, I just like got caught up in the energy and just was fine not painting or drawing or anything. But that night, like it was the final night, I really wanted to do something. So Niall got out all of the art supplies for me, and I was able to. I didn't actually like do any painting, but I did get some really neat like symbols sent to me that I like drew down and everything, and I took that down into like the bedroom I was in, and at that point it was just me and one of the other girls in there. I don't know where everyone else was, and I knew I just at this point just wanted to lay down and go inward. And so like we stayed up for a little bit. I like, did some drawing, and then I finally like I put in some music and I just laid down, and the ayahuasca just I can't even like really like not remember isn't the right word, but like kind of the journey I went on was just so fluid and smooth that I remember parts of it, and then other parts are just kind of blurry. One part that was really cool that I forgot to like mention that the next morning was I had this. So basically, at one point during this journey, I came across like my own body laid out. I was laying down, and from like the top of my head all the way down, it like the I started like cracking open in the middle, and like
Hmm.
almost like rib bones were like cracking open all down my body. And it just like felt, it was kind of like, honestly, kind of scary looking if this were to be in any other like context. But I was like, whoa, this is so cool. Like watching like myself crack open like that. And I don't know, like I was experiencing so much, but like I couldn't quite pinpoint what that was, but like the opening like that felt very significant. And I can't describe how or why, but that one really stands out to me. It was like that opening. And yeah, just I, probably wasn't really laying there for that long, but time doesn't exist in this space. And I just like let it take me where it needed to take me. And I did one of the techniques that you taught that night, the weaving. Love that so much. So while I was laying in bed, I was just doing a lot of weaving. And that was really, really powerful to like feel the threads that I was weaving. And it was just incredible. And again, I didn't really sleep that night, but the ayahuasca like that intensity lasted, I think probably until about 2 hours till everyone, started waking up. So the whole night, and kind of lessened in intensity, but I was still just in that really incredible state. And I was just like I wanted it to last forever because I was enjoying it so much, and it was really, really incredible.
Yes, and something I noticed about that night, which brings the play in, it was like the third night, it was like you guys were having like a big slumber party,
Yes.
just laughing. You
Yep.
guys were laughing and
We were
playing,
dancing. Yep.
and and you were healing at the same time. And that's what I was like, okay, this is awesome. And then
Yep.
speaking of, okay, so let's go. It's been how long? That was
It's
May.
been exactly a month. So
Yeah,
the 7th
it's
to the
been
10th.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so then are you tell us about the insomnia. Is it gone?
Yes. I am healed. Hmm.
How does that
I
feel?
am healed. So, yes, it is gone. I knew like at the retreat when I wasn't sleeping, again, I wasn't upset because of everything, but I had a feeling like once I got back home and I got to my own bed, I was going to sleep for a whole month. And I'm still like a little nervous to even get excited about it because it feels like too good to be true. But I have been sleeping zero medication whatsoever. Like there have been maybe a couple nights here and there where it's taken longer to fall asleep. So I take just like 10 milligrams of melatonin as opposed to the 30 I'd been taking with all my other medications. But that's been maybe like 2 or 3 nights. But ever since I've been back, I have been sleeping, no medications, and I've been having really interesting, vivid dreams, like really, really vivid dreams. And I am not really someone who, like, I'll have vivid dreams, but I won't remember them when I wake up. And I have been just having really cool, fun, vivid dreams every single night, and I remember them perfectly when I wake up. And all, like, I remember like pretty much every dream I've had since I've gotten back. And they're just all really interesting, like movies just playing out. And I'll be like sad when I do, kind of roll over and wake up a little bit because I'm like, no, I wanted to see how that one ended. And like a lot of the people from the retreat have been in my dreams, and that's been just kind of like the dreams were something I was not expecting, and that's been really fun. The sleep, that's a whole different aspect, but all of the other healing that I experienced, like I really never thought, like I've done a lot of work on the mother wound throughout the years. And, I thought like I was, healed a bunch of it or overcame a bunch of it, but like that stuff goes deep. And so there was still a ton more healing to do that I was able to do during the retreat. And just like all of like just the healing in general that happened, that like that wasn't even part of my intention. It was just like the whole experience was healing in every single way, and things got healed that I wasn't even focusing on. Like now I know where I'm headed. Now I know what I need to do to get there. And all of this old stuff is just got to go.
And that's part of, okay, so that's part of staying in the energy. And part of what you're
Mhm.
training to do, which believe me, there is niche out there, is the psychedelic coaching. Okay, so the psychedelic coach is the one, and facilitation, right? But a psychedelic coach would take someone, because you right now you have awake students and your guys are talking every day and they're helping you stay in the energy. Somebody who goes on a retreat somewhere else, they don't have that. They go back and don't stay in contact sometimes with anybody at the place. They don't have any psychedelic coaching. So do you feel you, as a psychedelic coach, could help someone stay in this energy since now you understand?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I could. And yeah, like being in contact with every from one from the tree on a daily basis, like that is my soul family. We all were meant to be there at that time with each other, and staying connected with them has been a huge part of that. And I do think if I were to facilitate for someone else, I could use that same dynamic and that same energy to help them stay in that energy. Because, like, having someone to talk to is so important. Like, you don't realize how important it is.
And it's not just anybody to talk to,
Mm-hmm.
because stuff happens at in those 3 nights
Yes.
that are like timelines of stuff, like
Yeah.
dramatic changes. And you need to understand that too. So when you're coaching someone that's just been through that, you have to understand what they're talking about, because they already feel out like half crazy and they're lost.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's where that psychedelic coaching comes in. And that's one of the things I think that you're preparing for.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Something like that. If you haven't experienced it for yourself, there's absolutely no way you could help someone through that. Like, that is 1,000% something you have to experience for yourself to be able to understand someone else's experience.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what do you do? And this we'll kind of make this your last question. I know I've had you for a while, but what do you do just besides talking to the Awake tribe to stay in that energy, to remember what you're supposed to do, to remember that active meditation, to remember to let that energy guide you? What do you do
Yes.
every day to remember that?
Yes. So I am meditating a lot more than I ever used to. I'm constantly putting myself back into that meditative state. I'm very aware that the ayahuasca is still in my system and will continue to be in my system for many, many months, which has really helped because, especially with all of the changes going on in my life, like it's really stressful. It is very stressful. And every time I get stressed, I'm just reminding myself that the ayahuasca brought me here for a reason. I'm facing these challenges for a reason because I'm on my path, and following your path isn't necessarily going to be easy. And when I am like really struggling, or when there's nights that I feel like I'm taking like a really long time to fall asleep, I will talk to the ayahuasca in my system. I'll say, Mother
Mm.
Aya, sometimes I don't tell you how grateful I am for each night of sleep that you've given me, but please, please keep that going. Like, I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for the sleep every single night. I'm so grateful for the dreams. And I try to tell her that every day. And just like really being aware that the spirit of Aya is still with me has been tremendous. And if I didn't still feel her in me, it might be a little bit harder to stay in this space. But even if she wasn't still with me, just everything I learned throughout the whole retreat has just completely shifted everything.
Well, and she's in you now, so she'll be in you for as long as you allow and you remember that she's
Yes.
there. And I know that you're going to the one in Sedona in October, but like, but you just have to keep using that as a reference point. You remember, and then letting
Mhm.
go. And so
Yep.
that's why all these things come in your life. It's like let go of things as you know, as you knew it,
Yes.
and then just notice how they show up differently and
Yes.
embrace, the miracles that are to
Mhm.
come. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you so much, Teal.
Oh,
Um,
thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm so glad I got to talk about my experience because it really was life changing in every single way. So I hope this helps some other people who are a little hesitant on plant medicine in general, but especially the ayahuasca, because I really didn't know what to expect going in. I just trusted everything I'm getting is what I'm supposed to be getting, and it was amazing.